Good morning, Nacogdoches. Welcome to our Easter at the Coliseum, the 21-day devotion countdown. My name is Pastor Noel, and today is day 9, Tuesday, March the 28th. And I want to invite you today to read with me Matthew 16, verses 1 through 23. When you finish that reading, turn over to our devotion page and go through our 3-2-1 Easter countdown. I encourage you to do that. Now, let me give you a quick, brief overview of the passage you're going to read today, Matthew 16, 1 through 23. When we begin reading, we see that Jesus answers a question posed to him by some of the religious leaders of the day. They had asked Jesus for a sign. Show us something amazing, something supernatural. Show us that you are the true Son of God. And Jesus said, the only sign that you're going to get is the sign of Jonah. Now, what's Jesus talking about? Well, we know the story of Jonah, Jonah and the whale, Jonah and the great fish. Jonah, the prophet of God, he was swallowed up by this great fish, and then 3 days later he was expelled from the fish. And that typifies, it points to what Jesus did in his death, in his burial, and in his resurrection. And Jesus said, that's the sign, because that's what matters. Then as we read a little further here, we see that Jesus warns his followers against false teaching from the Pharisees and the Sadducees. And then we come to one of the most important passages in all the Gospels. Jesus asks a couple of questions. The first question, who do people say that I am? And then the most important question, who do you say that I am? That's the crux of the matter. The answer to that question is what really counts. Now, as I did my personal devotion on this passage, there was one thing that really stood out to me, and it's the phrase, Jesus' phrase, I will build my church. So the church is built by Jesus. He builds the church. He said, I will build my church. Now that's important. It's important for us to see that Jesus is the head of the church, that Jesus is responsible for the church. Jesus energizes the church and he builds the church. But what's even more interesting here, or further is interesting here, is that Jesus tells us how he will build his church. He says, I will build my church on the profession that Peter had just made. And so when Jesus had asked the question, who do you say that I am? Peter answered like this, you are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. And so Jesus said, you're right, Peter. And it's upon that kind of declaration, it's upon that proclamation, it's upon Jesus that he's going to build his church. At the center of everything in the church, we should find Jesus and the proclamation that Jesus is the Messiah and the Son of the living God. You know, with all the distractions in our world and all the things that people make church about, we must make sure that church is about Jesus. I hope this has been an encouragement to you today. I hope you'll take the time to read the passage, answer the questions, and I hope to see you here tomorrow.